Welcome to the 4th episode of Simplistics by the Plaid Cook. Today we're taking a look at the perfect all-in-one breakfast item, the quiche. This is a super easy recipe to make and will give you the perfect protein pick-me-up in the morning to get you going. However, before we get started, I have an announcement to make. After a month of coding in my mother's basement, I am proud to announce the brand new The Plaid Cook website, where you can find up-to-date information on all the series that are featured on the Plaid Cook channel, and more importantly, all the recipes from the show. Gone are the days of having to read the plain boring recipe text from the description section on your tiny phone screen. Now you can say hello to the nicely organized, easy to read recipes that fit on any screen and can be shared with your friends and family. Speaking of sharing, there are buttons on every recipe to make it easy to share on social media, through email, or to just grab the link to post anywhere. So make sure to share those recipes and spread the word about the Plaid Cook. Seriously, sharing does really help promote the brand and enable me to make more recipes and videos. So thank you in advance for sharing and spreading my content around the internet. With that all said, let's dive into the recipe. We're going to be making a food processor crust recipe similar to the one in the previous bourbon pumpkin pie video, which the link can be found in the card above or in the description. So in the handy food processor goes 2 cups of all-purpose flour and 1/2 teaspoon kosher salt. Give it a few pulses to get everything well combined, and then grab 1 stick or 8 ounces of chilled unsalted butter that is cubed and added in. Make sure this is chilled, otherwise your crust will not turn out right. Give it a few more pulses to get everything well combined. Then turn the food processor on low speed and slowly stream in 4 tablespoons of cold water. Yes, it does need to be cold to help not melt the butter. Then add in 2 tablespoons of vodka to help keep the gluten from forming. Do not worry, the alcohol will bake out. Optionally, you can do this without the vodka, but I like a little no gluten insurance. When the dough mixture starts to look like wet sand, dump it out onto a floured work surface and press together. Do not need this, otherwise the gluten police will put you in gluten jail. Just kidding, there's no gluten police, but we do not want gluten to form. So press this wet sand mixture into a form of a disc and then wrap with plastic wrap and throw into the fridge for roughly 1 hour until it becomes chilled. When the hour is up and the dough is nice and chilled, remove the plastic wrap, plop onto a floured work surface, and roll with a rolling pin. Let's take a quick rolling intermission to talk about the pan you're going to use for the quiche. If you have a large tart pan, then by all means use it. But if you're like me and the thousands of other people that don't own one, then a nice pie pan will do. Once your dough is about 1 inch past the edge of your pan, roll it up on a rolling pin and then drape it over the pan. Gently press down the dough to the pan to make sure there are no air bubbles, then trim the excess dough from the edge. You can give it a fancy crust if you want to, but for this one I'm going to just leave the top cut clean. Poke some holes in the bottom with a fork and then cut some parchment paper out to fit inside the crust and gently press it into the inside of the dough. Then put it into the fridge for 30 minutes, or if you are impatient, into the freezer for 10 minutes to chill all the butter in the crust before baking. After the allotted time is up and your crust is nicely chilled, add your pie weight of choice to keep the crust from bubbling, which in my case is some sugar in a makeshift foil pan. Why choose sugar, you may ask? Well, it creates toasted sugar, which adds some flavor to dishes that you bake, like the cinnamon rolls in the card above. Once everything is situated, put the pan into a 375-degree oven for 20 minutes to blind bake the crust. When it's done, pull it out of the oven and remove the pie weight, which we will save for another recipe, and the parchment paper. Set the crust aside to cool completely on a wire rack, and while it's cooling, it's time to make the quiche filling. Get out a medium-sized pan and add in 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter. So much butter aggression. And the chopped onions. Cook until the onions start to reach a lightly caramelized state, then remove from the heat and spread onto a plate to cool. Next up, take the remaining 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter and add it into the pan along with 4 cups of baby spinach. Cook until the spinach becomes wilted, then remove from the heat and spread onto a plate to cool. After that, get a large mixing bowl, to which we're going to add 4 eggs, 1/2 cup milk, 1/2 cup heavy cream, and 1 teaspoon kosher salt. Give everything a little mix with a wire whisk, and now it's time for assembly. Retrieve the cooled pie crust and add in 3 ounces of Gruyere cheese to the bottom. Then the wilted spinach, the caramelized onions, 1 cup of cube cooked ham, 6 ounces of diced cooked bacon, 2 ounces of chives, the egg mixture, and top with the remaining Gruyere cheese and cheddar cheese. Place onto a rimmed baking sheet and put into a 375-degree oven for 10 minutes, and then reduce the temperature to 325 degrees to bake for an additional 30 minutes. After the allotted time is up, pull the quiche out of the oven. The sides of the quiche should be set, but the center will still be jiggly. Set it onto a cooling rack to cool completely before serving. And there you have it. A breakfast quiche that is loaded with protein that gives you that extra boost you need in the morning. The best part about this quiche is that you can serve and eat it now or throw it in the fridge and eat it the next day for a quick breakfast on the go. It even works great for brunch, lunch, or an appetizer at a dinner party. However, I'm not going to wait that long to eat this quiche. So let's cut a piece to get a nice cross section since it's been a while that we've had one. And what a sight to behold. The layer of ham and bacon on top of the spinach and caramelized onion looks so good with the egg custard locking everything in. This makes me want to eat the whole thing right now. In fact, you know what? I'm actually going to stand here and devour this thing right in front of you, just to taunt you with how good this quiche is and the fact that you should go make one right now. Seriously, go do it. But before you go, if you enjoyed this video or liked the recipe, then consider giving it a like down below. Click that subscribe button if you haven't, and leave me a comment about what you think of this recipe. And I'll see you in the next one.